Welcome to the On Stage podcast, where we interview musicians and members of the entertainment community. Well, everyone, this is a wonderful, wonderful time today. It's 6 a.m. my time, but to our gentleman here, Gavin, he is 5 hours ahead. He's from the UK, and in fact, he's from, I think, I'm not so sure about West Midlands, UK, and we're going to find out where that is. And they have some fascinating music. I was just listening to one of your songs, It's Not About You. I love that one. Excellent. I love that one. And one called Jennifer Against the World. And I just can't believe how beautiful this music was. And you should listen to it too, because everything will be linked down below in the description, including the YouTube channel to DINKY Music. So, Gav, welcome to the On Stage podcast. It's so lovely to meet you for the first time, even though
Thank
we've
you.
been talking back and forth communications. Sorry that the rest of your bands couldn't be here, but I'm sure that we can do a follow-up sometime with all the band.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like to ask you, so can you give me like a history of DINKY music? Like, how did you start this group? How you found the members? Could you go back to the beginning? Like,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
is
I mean,
Gavin Medza? Where were you born? And what brought you here?
you need the whole history.
Sure, up
Well,
until your grandparents were born. No, just kidding.
I mean, the band has been something that's been around for like a long, long, long time. But it's I always I don't know, without sounding too pretentious, I've always sort of treated the band as like a rather than it being a band, it's like a place where people can come and make music and things. So since sort of around about the year 2000, I started this project called DINKY. It had lots of different people in it then. We had lots of different music. But I think the main sort of point when we started becoming a band proper was around about 2008. So it started with the original bass player contacted me, wanted to put a band together with his drummer friend. So we got together, we just started making a bit of music, and then that was sort of 15 years ago. We've been consistently making music and working on various projects for probably about 15 years, kind of consistently churning out albums and music and things like that. That original bass player has now left the band. He left shortly after the kind of pandemic. So we're back to being a three-piece, but we're really happy with what we're doing at the moment. You know, we're having a really we got like a new energy about us and what we're writing, and so yeah, it all kind of comes from that really. So the band members are all just made up of friends of friends. So the lead guitarist was a friend of the bass players, and the drummer was a friend of the lead guitarist. And I think that's one of the things that really works for us as a band is the fact that we are all mates, and we were friends before we started being a band. And our friendships have grown through music over the last sort of 10, 15 years as well. So we've become close, and those friendships have got stronger as well. So it's been really nice. They're a really nice bunch of people to be in a band with. Like just really, really genuinely nice guys, you know, no egos, just good time. We just have a good time.
Tell me about the members of your band and your relationship with them in the band and outside the band. Is there friction about what song goes out, the lyrics, the songwriting?
So I'd say at the moment there's just no contention in the band at all at the moment. I feel like we agree on most things. There's never a disagreement. There may be maybe look at it, do it a different way, maybe. But we tend to agree on like pretty much everything that we want to do in terms of the music that goes on a record. Our approach to recording that, and we discuss it. I think that's the thing is we have the communication between us, so we chat about stuff. So we get together outside of music to socialize and have a takeaway, and we talk about various things, and I guess Yeah, I guess it all just comes from that. But so the lead guitarist, his name is Adam, Adam Hollyhead, and he's been in the band since around 2011. Um, I didn't know Adam before he joined the band, so he was kind of a new person for me. But we needed a lead guitarist. We wanted that fourth member. So Adam came on board. Over the years, me and Adam have just kind of grown really close as friends. Adam's had some sort of tragedy in his life, as these things happen, and we've always been there to support him both as people and as a music, to offer that place of a release from that kind of hard times. So Adam's just been a really good friend over the years. We kept in regular contact over the pandemic. We tried to keep the channels open for writing music, and we'd send each other daft videos every day, and we'd meet up in the park with our guitars and sit on a bench, like, just trying to write music and things. So and Adam's sort of my partner in crime. So when we're in the studio, it's usually me and Adam that do like a lot of the work with the mixing and all of the overdubs and instruments. So we've known each other for years, and Adam's very supportive of me and what I do, and vice versa. So Danny is our drummer. He was really good friends with our lead guitarist Adam. He was very young when he joined the band. I don't know how, I can't remember how young, but he was possibly a teenager. So yeah, he was really young. And so he's kind of grown up with us, as a unit, as a band, over those kind of like 15 years. So again, it's kind of a nice relationship. Danny is like one of the nicest people on the planet. He's a really chilled out, nice guy. He's unflappable. Nothing tends to get him stressed. I'm sure he does behind closed doors, but he's just a really nice, kind of easygoing guy. So the three of us work like incredibly well. As I say, we're kind of any kind of trace of ego was just kind of removed from the band like a couple of years ago, and that's just enabled us to just really just make music that makes us feel happy. We can experiment, we can do what we want. We're really just in a good place, I think, as a band. It's for being in a band for so long, it's incredible that we are where we are now, and really enjoying what we do. And our ambition is just getting bigger and bigger. Some of the things we've got coming up, it's just mind blowing that we're still doing what we're doing, and still trying to dream bigger and achieve harder things with the music and the visuals and all of that kind of stuff. So very lucky, I'm lucky to be in a band with nice, like-minded people, who aren't precious about what we do and how we do it. So it's a very flexible, easygoing environment for music, and I think that's really important to be happy and to stay creative.
Wonderful story about Adam, and that's and the other, like, you got three members in your, or two other members, so it's three. What do you think is the amount of people a band should have or can have? Like, would you take a fourth?
um I mean, yeah, possibly. I think the reason why we got Adam in the first place was because we were a three-piece. I play guitar, but I'm not an amazing guitarist, so I was just kind of rhythm kind of stuff. But I think we felt like we wanted a lead guitarist, which added a lot to the band. But having said that, I'm now playing bass in the band, and I think that someone told me years ago, a musician who got a record deal and everything from the UK, that three pieces were like the coolest thing. If you want to be in a cool band, being a three-piece band. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. But I think having gone from a four-piece back to a three-piece, it's made me appreciate how harder you need to work as a three-piece in order to kind of create that bigger sound. And that's interesting to me in terms of exploring how you achieve that. And you have to be a lot more, you can't be lazy with how you play. So for me personally, I really enjoy three-piece setups. But I don't think it really matters how many people you have in a band. It could be 5, it could be 10, it could be 15. I think, we're a big fan of adding a lot of strings to our music, violins and cellos and things. So, you know, although I wouldn't want that to be a permanent feature of the band, but equally, if we were to go out on a tour or something big, I wouldn't be against having all of those instruments, you know, on stage with us as well. So yeah, I think three pieces are cool. They look cool. But yeah, I don't have any kind of any thoughts on that really, Chris? I guess I think it's just as the main thing is just to be respectful to the music that you're playing. It's very easy to get in the studio and just add and add and add and add, but then it gets really messy, you know. And I think what we've learned over the years is actually less is more. And the next record that we're looking to make after the one that we're releasing this year is going to be a lot more stripped back and lo-fi, and it's going to have a more gritty kind of feel about it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That's in progress at the moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like you're talking about the number of people in the band. Like, as long as you don't have like a member of your family in the band, like the Noel and Liam Gallagher, and there's also friction and this and that, and um, so it says you like many years that you're playing on the live circuit. What was that like playing throughout UK, Ireland? What was your favorite part of that?
I think the smaller venues are always good. I mean, we're not a massive band. We're an unsigned band in the UK, so you know we're not selling out huge venues or anything like that. But I think the most memorable gigs that we've done have been in these smaller, nice little kind of indie venues. Um, those have just been the ones that stand out the most, where you've got just like a nice kind of intimate crowd, good atmosphere, and it's enough, you know, for the type of thing that we do. That kind of is enough, you know. So we've we've taken a bit of a break from playing live over the last couple of years. I think the pandemic was one of the reasons for that, but also we've played a lot, you know. We've in our local area, we've played just every venue multiple times, and we just got a bit bored of the repetition of, you know, just doing gigs and this kind of stuff. So we've made a decision to take a bit of a step back from that at the moment and just concentrate on recording and making videos and doing some of the other projects and things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, great. I mean, it's lovely playing live. You know, it's great to have new songs to play to an audience. It's nice to meet new people. It's nice to meet different musicians and support other local musicians that are out there. You know, this is how you make connections, and this is how the community grows and becomes healthier. So it's really lovely just to kind of make those kind of connections when you're out playing gigs and supporting other bands, really. But yeah, loads of good memories from it, really, Chris. I mean, we've done all sorts of stuff, you know. We've done good gigs, we've done obviously bad gigs, busy gigs, not so busy gigs, whole variety of stuff, but they're all kind of unique in their own way. You know, we've done some really unusual stuff in these very like secret kind of gigs in like purpose-built venues in people's gardens and all these kind of odd types of things that we've done over the years. But yeah, it's just nice to get out there and play. I think that's the main thing, you know. It's lovely to kind of get out there. And what's really nice, again, to talk about Danny and Adam in the band, is that they're really enthusiastic about every aspect of what they're doing. So, you know, if we do turn up at a venue and we're having technical problems or whatever, some issues somewhere else, they always just remain really positive and give it 100%. And it's infectious to be around people like that, and it makes you kind of just think, yeah, let's make this the best it can be. So I think when we play live, we tend to have a nice rapport with each other on stage. We're very much aware of these little like little moments in songs that make us laugh in rehearsals, and you know, and we don't shy away from making that known on stage as well. So I think we just naturally have this kind of slightly relaxed rapport, which does invite the audience in, I think. So it's really nice to have that kind of a bit more relaxed approach to playing live. You know, if we make a mistake, we make a mistake. You know, we don't try and cover it up. We might even talk about it after the song. You know, but that's just all part of being human, isn't it? And I think that is quite an endearing quality to an audience when they can see that you're not being too precious about it. And if you do make a mistake, it's totally fine. You know, you can acknowledge it and then move on. So yeah, I love playing live. It's just we don't do enough of it at the moment, and I think possibly we're sort of looking at ways to bring some of our current album together live as a three-piece. So we're kind of looking at bringing in some kind of overdubs and things like that we can use on stage. So yeah, we're just figuring it out at the moment. As I say, it's we've got a lot of new music to play. We're just trying to figure out how to shape that for a live experience.
Yeah. I always ask a lot of musicians about, yeah, what if you do make mistakes on stage, like if a string breaks or the sound equipment doesn't work, or even classic one of members calls in sick, and yet you have a gig, so you just have to deal with what you deal with. You just go to the mic and say, I apologize that you came to see us tonight, but Adam or is not available, so we're just going to play. Or do you just not play at all? If Adam can't make it, then you just don't go on?
I think we've never really been in that position, to be honest. But I think we have like versions of the band that we could do. So, I mean, I could go out and do a solo set, for example, or Danny and myself could go out and do a set, or Adam and myself could go out and do a set. So there are variations of the group. So if it was something that we really didn't want to cancel, we'd just have to rethink what we do. Maybe I just go with a guitar and do a little solo set for half an hour, or try and play what I can on an acoustic guitar. But yeah, well, I don't think we've never really cancelled that many gigs really. So we've been quite lucky in that respect. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I remember years ago when I was like a teenager that our bass player broke a string on the bass, and we just didn't know what to do because we thought, he didn't have any spare strings, and we just stood on stage, kind of paralyzed in fear, thinking, how do we get through a gig
Mm-hmm.
that's heavily reliant on this bass guitar for that band? I can't remember what we did. I think we ended up playing Bar Bar Black Sheep for a couple of minutes whilst he frantically ran around like asking one of the other bands if he could borrow a bass. But we've had a few moments like that. But yeah, we don't tend to cancel that much really.
Yeah. Well, one of the members of Jamsteak, the drummer Dom, I always want to talk about how, about what do you think of the drumming process? What's the hardest part about it? Um, and then the guitar process, because you play the guitar and a string breaks, and you have to. I mean, I've seen violinists play the violin with strings hanging down and everything, and it still sounds good. So tell me, I'm dying to find out like, are you the one that sets up all the gigs, or do you have
Yeah,
someone to do? Yeah, so you do that. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's
I
good.
do quite a lot of the stuff really. It's a lot more collaborative than it used to be. But yeah, I'm kind of the main person that will look for gigs and book the gigs in and things like that. I do a lot of the directing on our music videos as
Mhm.
well, and do the editing for those. It used to be mainly me, but I think more so in the last couple of years. Danny and Adam will, they'll help out, in other aspects of it. Adam will see things on Facebook, opportunities, venues that are having things, and he'll just send things to me like, do you want to consider this? Shall we apply for this? So it kind of comes from all of us really. Um, but yeah, I tend to before when we were gigging more a couple of years ago, it would probably be more me strategically working out where we wanted to play, trying to align it with a release of something or a video, and then just kind of putting that jigsaw puzzle in place really. But yeah, we all chip in now, which is really nice. I mean, I'm still kind of like the main person in terms of the social media aspects and the video making side of it, but that's kind of what I really enjoy doing anyway. So I don't see it as being a chore. It's just a nice different way of flexing those creative muscles for me, really.
Plus, you can't take yourself to court if you're stealing your own money, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, uh, yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
Seriously, because I know a few who rather, since you're a member of the band, rather do all this because you can. Sometimes you just can't trust people.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I am a controlling person, so I do like to have that kind of control over what it is that we do. but I'm less precious about that, and about kind of, I don't know. I think we've all of us in the band have got a lot more autonomy now to just bring ideas and suggest things, and and if there's something we don't want to do, then we just say we don't want to do it. It's just an agreement. No one's forced into doing something that they feel uncomfortable with. So, anything to do with gigs or releases or video shoots, we just discuss it first and decide what it is that we want to do, and if we think it's a good opportunity or not, and then we just make those decisions on the back of whatever it is that we're looking at the time. So yeah, it's nice. We've all got a lot of autonomy, as I say, just to kind of go and look for those opportunities and just see what we fancy doing. Really, we're not really prescribed as to how we do stuff. Adam and I last summer we did turn up at a lot of places, just the two of us, and do a lot of acoustic sets and things, and it's nice to have the option to do that as well, just a different version of the band, because you get access to lots more. You get access to more venues and more things if you do it in a certain way. Because we're not a noisy band, but we're becoming noisier with our new music. But the acoustic stuff is very accessible. It's very family friendly. And it's nice because we've got the 2-part harmonies, or if Dan is with us, we've got the 3-part harmonies, and a lot of the UK acts, solo singer-songwriters, and they don't have the harmonies. That a lot of that's kind of missing with a lot of bands in the UK, or at least the bands that I'm aware of. So it kind of gives us nice little extra something, that makes us stand out a little bit more, or just makes it a little bit more palatable on the ears, I guess. I don't know.
Well, what is the gig finding process like? How do you find the places to play at, and when it comes to being paid, how is that process taken on?
Yeah, so I know it's different for different parts of the UK, and I don't know what it's like in other places around the world, but it's sort of Birmingham area, where we're kind of based. It's mainly run by a lot of different promoters. So promoters will have an affiliation with certain venues where they will put on gigs. They'll book all of the bands through the promotion company, and then they sort out all the details. So the way it usually works with payment and things like that is that they will allocate you a certain amount of tickets for the shows, and then obviously you get a cut of the ticket sales. But then again, there are some festival type shows that we've played where they just, you don't sell tickets. Obviously, you just turn up and then they just pay you for it. I think the more that you're kind of involved and integrated into the local scene, the more that you just become aware of those opportunities. You make those connections with promoters, and just the venues themselves. Sometimes the venues might contact you directly and just say, your band would be great, could you come and do a Saturday for us in a couple of months, whatever, we'll pay you this amount of money. And so like I said, going back to my point before about just, it's about just staying connected really, and being there, because a lot of the gigs, it is just full of promoters and other people that are really there to that are looking for bands like ourselves, and they want to put you on at their venue, and then sometimes those people move on and open up another venue, and then they remember you and they want you back for there because they had a good experience working with you, or they enjoyed your music or whatever. So there's lots of different ways to access it. Some people will just advertise on social media and say, we're looking for acts for this event or this festival. But I think for us, because we've been around for so long, it's more like people just know who we are, and they know what they're going to get because they've probably seen us before, or they're aware of our music through just our online presence. So they may not have actually heard or listened to our music, but they're aware of who we are and the type of things that we put out. So it's very easy then to get your foot in the door and get someone to give you an opportunity. But the other thing as well is lots of local bands will book a gig for themselves, and they will want to book their own support acts. And we've done that in the past when we've done headline shows. We wanted control over who is supporting us, so we can make sure that they're similar type of bands or bands that we like that that we've never played with before. So rather than letting the promoter have full control over the billing for that, we sometimes ask the promoter, "Can we just sort out the bands, on your behalf?" And then, like I said, then we can invite friends and other bands that we like to share the evening with us. So it just adds to that kind of community feel about it.
So it says you're an alternative indie rock band based in West Midlands, UK, but it says you travel to Ireland. So what's the distance that you're spending more money traveling to the gig than making in the gig?
A bit the stuff around Ireland it was a bit of like TV stuff that we did. So I mean, yeah, we probably lost money on that. We didn't really make any money, but it was just a good experience. It was a part of. I mean, Ireland isn't like that far away from us, really. It's I don't know. It's probably less than an hour in a plane from Birmingham to get to Dublin. But it was more about the experience, really. It's the kind of social aspect for us as well. It's kind of going away and we weren't just there to play music. We went and obviously had a couple of nights out and just enjoying each other's company and stuff like that, really. So I think most of the time for bands like us, we probably are losing money in terms of what you put into it, from recording and videos and gigs. You do make a bit back, but that tends to just go back into making more music. So most of the time, I'd probably say we don't really make much from playing live. But it's still fun to do it. It's still. I think most musicians would say that. It does. It's just about playing live. Sometimes it doesn't really matter if there's two people there. It's a Tuesday night and it's freezing cold. So it's just part of. It's in your blood, isn't it? As a musician, it's performing and doing all of those things. It's just a lot of fun, really. So. I've never really kind of considered the financial aspects of it, Chris, to be honest, because I get so much enjoyment out of playing music and making videos and doing all of that kind of stuff that you know it's memories I'm making that we'll have for the rest of my life, and and I feel very lucky to be able to do that with similar like-minded people. So the money aspect of it, I don't really care about that. I'm happy to put money into it and not get much return from that. I don't think we've ever really been financially driven as a band. It's always been about memory making and having a good time. And that's really important. And if it stops becoming a good time, then we always say that's the time that you exit the band. And that's kind of the ethos of how we work as a band. It's we just try to keep as grounded as we can. And we try to do things obviously as to a budget as best as we can. So we do make a lot of good videos, but they are done relatively cheap, to be honest, because we're quite resourceful. And I say I'm a filmmaker, so I can do a lot of those things as well. So we tend to just we tend to don't overspend, but we. Having said that, we are filming a music video on Tuesday, and it's costing quite a lot of money. It's probably our most expensive video. So yeah, that's a bit. That's quite an expensive one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. You talk about filmmaking. Wow, you didn't go down that pathway. Become a full-time filmmaker. Come in, Gavin Medza,
Yeah,
world-renowned director, filmmaker, wins an award. Woo.
I mean, yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know, but I think what's been really nice is that we've had a bit of recognition from our music videos. So last year, I was nominated in a film festival in the UK with one of our music videos, and we went down. It was shown in a cinema. It had like a round of applause, and it was all very surreal. Quite a weird moment, really. So I've only really worked in music as a film, in terms of putting music videos and things together, and I am exploring the option of potentially putting crowdfunding for a short film that I'd like to make in the future. But yeah, the visual side of it, we just we started doing it about 10 years ago, and we just kept going. We just kept thinking of ideas and just kept getting more ambitious with our video making and what we wanted to do. And we've met a lot of interesting filmmakers and editors and people we've worked with over the years. And what's really nice is that the rest of the band have really kind of caught that. They've kind of caught the bug for it, you know. So I talk about these ideas I'd like to do, and they're just fully supportive over it, and they want to do it, they want to make it, they're happy to throw their money into it as well. And yeah, I really enjoy making videos. We've just finished editing a new one this week, which will be coming out. I think it's in March. It's coming out in March, and then we're filming our next one on Tuesday. And then we are already sort of pre-production for another video for that album as well. So we've got loads of things in the pipeline this year. I think we'll be doing lots of music and lots of videos. It's like so much going on.
Wow, that's amazing. Not only do you get to be fraternizing with a lot of other musicians and bands, but filmmakers and those, that's great to have going both sides, because I'm also a vocalist and I'm also wanting to get into filmmaking and acting. So I can, I love having like all sorts of people and talking to them. It's amazing. I want to ask, so we're talking about your first full-length studio album, Falling Satellites, with acclaimed producer Andy Taylor. That isn't the same Andy Taylor from Duran Duran, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. We get asked that all of the time. I think he gets asked that all of the time. No, it's not Andy Taylor from Duran Duran. He's a really great local producer. He's worked with some great bands, Jesus and Mary Chain, and amongst others. I mean, I can't remember the full list, but he's worked with some great bands, kind of indie bands from that kind of era, the kind of early 90s and maybe late 80s and stuff. But yeah, that was that's going back a few years now, the first album. I wouldn't say it's probably our best album. It's got all of that kind of innocence and naivety of a band going in the studio for the first time, making a record and feeling very dizzy with excitement. That's kind of how I'd explain it. I think there's lots on that album that seem quite out of place for us as a band now. Certainly music we probably wouldn't, a lot of it we wouldn't play now. But I think we learned so much from that process of making an album. It really helped us in terms of how we structure our songs and how we approach recording music. So I think there's some nice ideas on that album. I think there's some good tracks on it, but it was more of a very kind of it was more of a learning experience really making it. We'd never made an album before. We'd only recorded EPs, so we'd only ever gone in the studio to do 3 or 4 songs, and then suddenly we're having to really think about 11 songs and how we approach each of those songs in a different way, and what do those songs need, and how, what harmonies do we put on it, and how much do we overdub. And we've been a bit over the top with that album. We put so many guitars on it, so many vocal things on it, and yeah, we probably threw too much at that album. But as I said, through working on that, we were able to work out how to look at making a second record and how we approach that. So yeah, I mean, is there anything specific about that album that you wanted to ask?
Well, just that it's a showcase compelling combination of infectious riffs and hook-filled melodies, and yet it's really good. But the only thing is now that you have a sophomore album called Open Letters, which was released to critical praise. Now, can you can you tell me exactly what was the difference between Falling Satellites and Open Letters? Like, which album did you like better? Which one did you spend more time on? Which one will you gravitate to?
I mean, Open Letters definitely is a better album, I would say, in terms of I think the songwriting's better on it. I think the production's better on it, and we were a bit more sensible. So we'd lost that dizzy excitement, and we're a little bit more well versed at what we were doing. So we definitely had a more focused approach to making it. The way the second album kind of came about was I didn't want to write anything knew until we'd finished making the first album, because the way that we tend to work as a band is something will happen last minute and then we'll want to put it on whatever it is that we're working on. So I just said, I'm going to not even pick up the guitar until we've actually finalized the album and it's all mastered and it's sent off and it's done. Then we'll start work on album 2. Album 2 came together really quickly. I had a couple of songs in mind. One of them was Jennifer Against the World, and there was a couple of other songs from that album that we'd released as singles, and they were written in a really short period of time. And so we started work on it not too long after Falling Satellites came out. In fact, at the Falling Satellites album launch, we did actually play one of the new songs from Open Letters. We were at that stage where we're already starting to think about that second album. I just think it's a much better record. It just has a better. Yeah, I think there's lots on there. There's lots on that album that we still play now and we still enjoy, and I just think it's just a better produced record. Andy Taylor produced that record with us, so we worked with him for a second time. And I think, again, talking about relationships, which I think is so important with anything in life, but because Andy Taylor had worked with us on the first album and some music prior to that, he knew exactly what we were capable of. When we were underperforming, when we were overperforming, and when things just didn't work, and he would just say, no, that's crap, do it again. And it's really nice to have that honesty from a producer. He's not just there to be paid and do a job. He was there as a friend to advise us. He spent a lot of time outside of the studio, just mixing the songs and just trying to get the best out of it. So we were very lucky to have Andy on board for the second album. He invested a lot of his time, but yeah, it was just a good album. As I said, without going into the details, when we were making that album, that's when our guitarist Adam was going through a difficult period in his life, but the music was there as therapy. We allowed lots of space for him to deal with the things that he needed to deal with. But he always said that this was a good place to come and take my mind off stuff. It was like a therapeutic and kind of cathartic experience being in the studio or just playing music in a rehearsal room. So it was lovely to be able to give him that platform, and escapism whenever he needed to dip his toe in those waters. So the experiences of making the album, it took about a year to put together. I think it's quite a mixed experience because of the things that were going on externally from the band. But I think overall, it was a record that we were very happy with. It received, obviously, like I said, a lot of praise worldwide. It got a lot of radio stations interested. It opened us up to a new audience, more importantly. And yeah, lots of people actually just really started to find out about the band through some of the songs that we released from that album. So the whole thing was just great, really, really pleased that we got to make it. And we can talk about the new album in a bit because it's different again. But yeah, I'm really proud of Open Letters. I think it was a good solid record. There's a few little bits in it that I'd change, but that's kind of the nature of it, isn't it? I think, like, when do you stop? When do you just say, I'm happy with it, it's fine? We're our worst critics, aren't we? So yeah, but yeah, I think that was a great record. It seemed to appeal a lot more to sort of American audiences as well. A lot of American radio stations played us. Lots of people getting in touch on social media that discovered it through Spotify playlists and things like that. So the whole thing went really well, and we carried on making music videos. I think we made about 6 music videos for songs on that album, and that helps with the audience building as well, because there's all this kind of visual content that we had to support the album, and little behind the scenes features that we put on our YouTube channel. And I don't know, yeah, we just had a lot of stuff going on around that period, and it was just before the pandemic started as well, so we were able to do an album launch in 2019 for that album and do a bit of promotion. And then obviously the pandemic sort of turned everything on the head for lots of bands. So it just became more of an online promotional thing rather than something that we could go out and tour and play. And that was just impossible for years, really. So we just had to make more videos when we were able to, and just have a different approach to making content whilst we were having that downtime.
Yeah, the pandemic really kind of screwed up the world, and it was hard for opera singers as well because they could no longer perform. So they did a lot of online streaming, a lot of online concerts, and that was terrible for everyone. And of course, I started my podcast and really enjoyed it. And then you have this third album coming out called Ghosts. When is that going to be released?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. People keep asking me about this because we've been in the studio for a while recording it. We actually finished last February. So the album was recorded and finished last February. We just haven't had time to actually mix it. We've got some of the mixes back. But we've just been so busy doing like other things, which is really strange. So we are going in the studio in 3 weeks' time to hopefully finalize the songs for that album. I think it'll be a summer release. I think we're looking for a summer release. I think we're going to put a new single out very soon. And then possibly another single before the album. So I think we're going to release 2 more singles from that album, and then the album will probably follow shortly after the third single, June, July, August time. Hopefully that's when we're looking to get that out. But It's Not About You that you mentioned earlier, that's our current single, and that's the first single from that album. So that's kind of an idea of what to expect from what we're working on. It's a bigger album. It's about 15 tracks. It's kind of in keeping with what we do. It's not genre specific. It bounces between indie punk, indie rock. I don't know. It's got a real mix of stuff on there. There's a lot of very mellow songs. There's some live songs that we recorded for it in a studio. That we like the version so much that we decided to master them and put them on the album. But I'm hopeful it's going to be a summer release because we've been teasing it for about 1.5 years, but I just don't have anything concrete at the moment to say it's this date. The artwork and everything is finished. As I say, all of the music, all of the recordings done. We just need to finalize the mixes. That's the last stage now, I think.
Yeah, I want to release this episode before all that happens, and I like to get actually, if you're able to provide me the songs, like MP3, whatever, because I like to usually promote an artist, so I want to be able to have like a video or a song to display your talents. I also actually want to ask you about the songwriting process. Now, do other members of the band, like Adam, do they have a say in how the song is put together? For instance, It's Not About You. What was the songwriting process on that one?
I mean, that was quite a strange one, really. So I remember it really clearly. We were in a rehearsal room, and it was just after when the pandemic, they lifted some of the restrictions so that a couple of people could get together in a room together. I don't know what it was like where you are, but that's kind of what we had. 4 people can meet together, or 6 people, or whatever. So when we got to that stage, we went into a rehearsal room, and our bass player went to get a drink or something, and then Adam just started playing the music. He just came up with the chords and just started playing the chords. And then I just started playing the little riff that's on there, the diddle ding 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 ding. And then our drummer just kind of was like, okay, just jamming along with us. It was one of those instant songs where the chorus just came out, at that moment, and we were just playing this song like it was something that we'd had for years. When our bass player came back, it'd only been like 2 minutes, and he said, what are you playing? And we went, it's a new song. And we literally, it was like a couple of minutes and we had this new song. That doesn't happen often, but it was one of those moments where it just kind of came out of nowhere, literally just a jam in a rehearsal. And we kept a lot of the lyrics that came out of that spontaneous jam. We just then went away. Adam and myself went away, and we just kind of fine tuned it. So, what's the song going to be about, and what's the structure of the song. So we just kind of took it away, spent a couple of hours on it, and then we had this song. Yeah, it was just one of those instant ones. Really, everyone really liked that song, so we felt that would be the first one that we'd put out as a single. But the songwriting process, beforehand, it was mostly me writing a lot of the music. More so now with the current album that we've put together, it's probably like the three of us have really just kind of thrown in ideas. So there are some things that Adam's written fully. They're fully his songs. He's come with melodies and lyrics and things like that, and the guitar stuff, and we've just gone cool. Danny suggests lots of things in how we can kind of do certain vocal phrasings or repeat lines in songs, and kind of he's quite good at adding elements of the dynamics to the tracks. And then, some of it might just be things that Adam and I have kind of worked on together, or if it's a personal song, that might be something that I just kind of work on by myself, in a locked room somewhere. And then I'll kind of present this song and say, I've got this song, do you like it? And if they don't like it, then fair enough, we won't use it. But there's occasionally a song or two that I might write that I'm really adamant that it has to go on an album or something. There's a song on the new album called Will You Remember Me, and I just love it as a song. I just thought it was a great song, so we're going to use that on the album. We've done a really nice version of that, and this is why it's nice about the band just being very flexible in terms of what songs we use. So there's a nice sharing of ideas, I think, and the music that we're currently writing now is really led by all three of us. It's more collaborative than it's ever been. It's really just let people just play what they want to play, and then we just see what works. And if it's got a good vibe and we feel like it's working for us, and we'll carry on working with it. We're not afraid to throw ideas out and stuff, but it's a collaborative process. I think this definitely the Ghosts album and the next album, you'll probably hear quite a difference in our sound, and I think it's because we've brought in a lot more of our influences and shared music a lot more. But I think that's really healthy as well. I think relationships are really healthy about having a good band kind of setup, but I think also just being collaborative and letting people explore what they want to explore through music is really key as well. I think bands that just rely on one person, if it's the singer-songwriter or whatever, I think bands like that are going to tend to fail, because other band members need to feel like they've got a contribution and that they're able to bring in their creativity and their ideas. And I think if you don't allow that, I think that's when bands tend to fall out about the direction of things. So it's really important for them to have a say in the music, even if it's a song that I've written. I think it's still really important to use them as a sounding board to say, are you happy with this? Do you want to change anything? Do you want to add anything? And yeah, it's nice. It's really nice, because I can just say to Adam, I don't like that guitar part, come up with something else. And I can be that blunt about it, but he won't be offended. He'll just say, yeah, no problem. And equally, he can say that to me and say, don't play it like that, do it this way. And I wouldn't take offense to it. Whereas I think years ago, when you're younger and you're playing music, you tend to get a little bit, don't tell me how to play it, or I want to play it the way I want to play it. But now it's really about what benefits the song, rather than what benefits us and what we think. It's like, what benefits the song, what's the key element here to protect. And we said for the current album that melody was like the most important thing. So just protect the melody. Always think about the melody. If there's something that's conflicting with the melody or distracting you from it, take it out. And if there's a gap where nothing's happening, introduce something else in there that's a hook or something that just keeps the listener engaged. So we've really kind of considered the structure of songs and how we approach songs. And also, one good thing that came out of the pandemic in terms of songwriting was I became a little bit more curious about playing music and exploring different ways to play the guitar. And one of the things that came out of that was learning different tunings. So tuning guitar to like open D or open G, it just opens doors in terms of how you write, and it gives you a very different tonality to music. And our new record has a lot of that in it. So it's got a lot of different kind of tonally different sounding songs for us as a band. And those are probably the songs that I'm the most interested in. And it's something that we're currently still exploring and still, we've become curious about music in a way. And I think that's a healthy thing rather than just kind of repeating the same formula that you do every time. I know people and audiences like consistency with bands and genres and things, but we've never been that type of band. It's always been really on our terms about what we want to do with it. So it does alienate people sometimes, but then sometimes it works really well. But I don't know. It's music, isn't it? You just it's all just fun, and it's there for enjoyment. So so to answer your question in a very long way, it is a very collaborative process, and I welcome ideas from anyone really. I think that's the strength of the band at the moment. It's our music's become better as a result of sharing those ideas and letting people just play how they want to play, regardless of, it doesn't have to fit into a mold for us. It doesn't have to, it hasn't got to be a certain type of thing. It can just be whatever we want to do. We've been experimenting with jazz music, blues music, dance music. We've been doing all kinds of different kind of just experimenting in rehearsals, and it's great. It's just great fun. Why wouldn't you do that as a musician?
Yeah, that's true. So when we're talking about your first album, Falling Satellites, and then we're talking about your album, Open Letters, you said that it had 15 songs. It brought back a memory of Linkin Park. Their album, Meteora, had 12 songs on it, but it was supposed to have 13. The 13th song was the song Lost, which they released just last year, 20 years later. So it was a song that was supposed to be on Meteora and wasn't. So why 15 songs? Why EPs? Why not, like, you have long playing records and then you have extended playing records? But what do you prefer there? And why 15? Why not just 12 and then put the other 3 on another album, or lock them in a vault and 20 years later release one and say, hey, I'm back?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Mike Shinoda did.
It's a good way of doing it. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we tend to say, 10 songs, 11, that's kind of the minimum for an album, really. What happened with this album was that we spent loads of time in the studio recording, and what actually happened was we lost track of how much we'd done. So we never actually sat down and thought about how many songs that we'd actually worked on in the studio. We were just going in and we were doing a couple of songs, and then we were writing more songs, and then we're going back in. And I think it was Adam said, how many songs have we done? And I said, I genuinely don't know. So we sat down in the studio. We literally went through every track. And it was around about 16, 17. And so I was thinking maybe it becomes a double album. But we didn't really like the idea of releasing a double album. So we just decided to just put it all into, like, the best 15 into one big album. And I know what you mean. Yeah, there are potentially some songs that you could take off and we could treat that as a whole nother release. It could be another EP. But I think it's also testament to just the volume of stuff that we're currently working on now, because we're already planning to go in the studio to start work on the next album as soon as possible. Really, we're kind of already at that stage. So I think songs tend to be the way I write about people and events, because I have a bad memory. So it's about remembering these little things that have happened in life, these moments or these people that have had an impact on you. And for me, like, writing an album really kind of encapsulates a period of my life, or our lives, or what we're doing at that time. So to separate songs from that are written as part of in a particular time frame, it feels a little bit strange to kind of separate them. For me, it feels like they belong within the rest of those songs that were written in a period of time. So the 15-track album, is a bit bigger. I mean, some of the songs are quite short, but it just feels like it all belongs together. Like the songs just feel like they belong together on that record. And then the next one we make is going to be very different sounding. So none of the songs would really work if we separated them, because we've kind of moved on to like the next phase of the band. So it does feel like they need to kind of just stay on that record as they are, really. But yeah, it is quite a long album. I think that's why it's taken us so long to finish it off, because there's just so many pieces of music and so many components to all of those pieces of music, and they're all very different. So our producer is he does a lot of metal bands, and we're obviously not a metal band. We're very soft sounding in comparison, and I think he's just struggled to find the right kind of way to treat the songs. It's new for him, and I think he's enjoying the process, but it's just taking a little bit longer as a result. Because, as I said, every song's kind of very different to the one that comes before it. So it's not like a blanket thing where you can just treat them all the same way. They all have to have their own little sound and mixing style to them. So, but I mean, there's a lot of bands in the UK that are releasing albums that have got 7 songs on. I mean, I don't know what are your thoughts on a 7-song album? Is that an album? It's not an album.
In my day, when they released vinyl LPs and CDs, I think the most I've seen on an album was 22, because all the songs were 2-3 minutes long. Right. 17 where the songs were like 4 or 5 minutes long. And they say an EP contains like 9 or 10 songs, and an LP contains 11 or 12 songs. Hence Meteora by Linkin Park, and not having the song Lost on there for some reason, and then releasing that, Mike Shinoda releasing it 20 years later. I mean, everyone has, like, even Prince, and I suppose Michael Jackson, whatever, they all have like songs in the vault that are still not being released. And then we have the famous Now and Then, the last Beatles song that was just released by all 4 of them. Amazing. But I know that when this album is released, we're going to enjoy it. But I know now I want to release this episode, but I want to ask you something. I want to release this episode, but I'm through the editing process, I'm going to put "It's Not About You" at the end. And I have to ask you, everyone, I'm not going to tell you exactly what the song's about, but I'm going to ask you, number 1, why the paint? And number 2, did you realize how much cleaning you would have to do at the end?
Originally, I'm just be careful what I say here, because it relates to another video that we did. So a big thing in the UK over the pandemic was these things called rage rooms, where you can go into a room and you can smash stuff up, televisions, whatever. You have half an hour and you can.
We have that stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. So someone told me about this, and I thought that sounds amazing. Maybe we could do a video in a smash room. So I found a place close to where I live that had one of these rooms. I went to have a look just to see if it was appropriate. But while I was there, they told me about a room that they had upstairs, which was like a paint room. So they showed me this room, and then immediately I was like, this is the room. We're going to make a video in here. So I asked the guys, can we make a music video in here? We want to just hire it for the whole day. We want to bring loads of paint. We're going to just throw paint at each other. Is that okay? And they said, yeah, do whatever you want to do. It's yours for the day. Have fun. You can play the music as loud as you want. You can make as much noise as you want. You can throw as much paint as you want. So we changed the idea basically then to we changed the song for the first single. So Not About You became the paint video. So I just fell in love with the room, and I just thought, all the videos we're making at the moment are very destructive and chaotic, and just a lot of fun to make. And I mean, it was like being a child for the day. You know, I was looking at some of the behind the scenes footage because I'm going to make like a little feature for YouTube, and we are just giggling like little girls for the whole day. All you can hear is just just paint flying around, and it was just joy. You know, it was just a day of pure joy. It didn't feel like work or anything stressful. It was just a great laugh. So that's kind of how that came about, really. I think we wanted to get messy in the video, and we just found the perfect location for it. And they luckily the owners just let us do what we wanted to do. So, but the cleanup job was quite interesting. Yeah. So when we finished the video, I'm probably oversharing here, but there was a skip in the car park outside just for rubbish. I literally took all my clothes off apart from my pants and just threw it in the skip, and that was it. That was the end of the video. It's just like three semi-naked guys covered in paint just driving home. It took quite a few showers to get the paint off. There's still bits of paint that I find on microphones or my camera or places just that from the video shoot that we still find today. But we just wanted something that was just really fun and visually nice to look at. You know, I've found over the years that when we are doing things like that, where we're relaxed, that's when you get the best out of us. If we're trying to be too posy as a band, you know, standing, looking all cool, doing all that kind of stuff, we just feel very like self-conscious and it doesn't work. We look stiff and we look like we're not enjoying it. So we wanted to just do something that was just pure fun because we thought, well, it's a fun song, you know, it's quite an uplifting song, catchy choruses and things, and we just wanted a nice, vibrant, colourful, messy video to go with it. But yeah, there's going to be some really great videos for the new album coming out. I will talk. I mean, probably this is the first I've really mentioned it anywhere, but the next video is going to be one that we used a smash room for. So we went back to that idea, but we had to do it in a different location. So we were very lucky. We found an art gallery close to us that's run by this hippie couple, and they kind of do lots of weird abstract art installations and things there. And we just said we want to come with our instruments and we just want to smash them up and film it. Can we do it? And they said yes. So that's the next video. So that's just finished editing that this week. I think that's going to come out in March, and the song's called Oh Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy It's Not Me, It's You video at the end. But that was, and I read a comment that someone made about how long it'd take you to clean up and everything, and it was kind of interesting. I'd also want to ask you about cover songs. What do you think about cover songs?
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of covers, but I think over the pandemic, I didn't really play much of my own music. I decided to take a bit of a break from writing, and I actually just started learning covers. I ended up doing quite a lot of. It was mostly 80s covers, to be honest. There was like some Belinda Carlisle, In Excess. I think I did like a George Harrison song. And I really enjoyed the process of making covers, to be honest. I think you can learn a lot from the way people write and different techniques that people put in music. And I think I was a little bit ignorant to that beforehand. I've always been very much, no, I want to write my own music. I want to do, you know, but actually covers, yeah, I've kind of got a bit of a newfound love for just playing covers. So we do play a few covers. We currently just done a cover of Surrender by Cheap Trick. It's kind of working quite well in terms of the sound that we've got going on with our new music. But we also did a cover of a Rihanna song, We Found Love.
Oh, Not
And
Take a Bow. That's a good song too.
yeah, we did a version of that when we were making the Ghosts album, and we might actually put it out. We haven't decided. I don't know what the rules are about releasing covers, but we have done a few over the years. You know, we've done a few, like we did an acoustic album a while back with David Bowie covers. We did Heroes on there. And and we play anything really. I think what I really like doing is covers for.
Okay, stop right there, my friend. You did a cover of Heroes by David Bowie?
Yes, yeah,
Oh my
acoustic.
goodness, that's my favorite song. How did you do the beginning riff? Like who does it
Um,
do 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 and then that
we
that's
didn't. So it was
amazing
all
riff
played on
there.
acoustic, so we didn't have like the ebos or anything like that.
Oh,
And our drummer played it on a cajon drum.
too
We
bad
did
you
a
didn't
live.
do like an upload a video. I loved to have seen that one.
Yeah. It was a live acoustic album that we did in a studio that we didn't
Wow.
release in the end. But yeah, it was part of that. I can't remember if we did any of the covers for that. We did. I don't know. We've done a few, but we tend to just do quite not obvious covers. They tend to be quite obscure, or sometimes we pick covers from a band that people wouldn't associate with us. So I don't know if they were big in kind of Canada, but there was a manufactured band called the Sugar Babes in the UK, and they had a really good song called "Not About You" that was written by
Yeah,
Kathy Dennis wrote it. She's a great writer. But we used to do a cover of that song. So this is like a girl band, girl pop band in the UK. But we used to play like a version of one of their hits, and it would always be really interesting because you could see people in the audience that knew what the song was, but they didn't know where it was from. And then when they realized who originally wrote it, they found it really interesting that a band like us would actually take on and do like a cover version of it. So I always found that really interesting, just to see the reaction from people. So yeah, I'm not against covers. I think it's nice to throw a couple of covers in your set. Why not? It's what
there's
people
some
like,
good
isn't it?
good songs out there. Hey, aforementioned Linkin Park. There's a few good songs you could probably try on that one. But undertaking David Bowie's Heroes, oh, what a great song. That's a great song.
Ambitious,
Wow.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, no, I do a lot of covers. I had the one I did some time ago with Madonna's Take a Bow. That was a good one.
Oh, nice.
I'm very selective with the covers that I choose. I haven't actually ever written, well, actually, I've written. I know people are saying, why is he showing all his songs? I found recently the lyrics to some of my songs I wrote 25 years ago. And when you read the lyrics, they're pretty like immature. And if I were to release any of those, I'd put more professional lyrics to them. I mean, I got a song here called Into My Life. And the cliche, the start of the first line is, I'm wondering about my life. I'm like, everyone does. But I would change the whole thing around. But
Oh,
your
yeah.
song's
Okay.
amazing, my friend. It's not about you. And then you have Oxygen, which is another one. Somewhere I Want to Be. Like, these are great songs. Every one I'm going to put that in the description. You can watch them. But It's Not About You is going to be the song I'm going to tag at the end of the episode because I want
Yeah.
people to see that one.
Yes.
So yeah, so all this wonderful things are happening to you as a band. How do you deal with your mental health? Because you were talking about earlier about your mindset and everything. How do you deal with all this? The gigging, the playing, everything.
I mean, yeah, it gets a bit overwhelming at times, but I think like what we've always said, it's supposed to be something that's fun. So you've got to always remind yourself, even when you're really busy putting things together, that it's supposed to be fun. That obviously you've got to put the hard work in there. You know, but I think because at the moment, because we've got so much going on, I basically just have a little book. It's called My Happy Book, and it literally is called My Happy Book. It's got a bunny rabbit on. You don't need to know that, but I break down what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. So I kind of break it into chunks that are manageable. So at the moment, it was just finishing our next music video, and then the next thing is on Tuesday. We're filming our third music video for the album. So the way I deal with it is just in chunks. I just kind of work it out in manageable chunks, and everything's discussed as a band. So we agree on time frames that are comfortable for us in terms of what else we've got going on in life and stuff. And do we really want to, can that wait a couple of months? And if we've got other things to work on, so we're just trying to. We've got a lot. of plans at the moment. So we've got Ghost album, and then there's another 2 albums that we're looking to put out probably by the end of next year. But we're just treating each thing as its own entity, and then once we finish something and we can sign it off, then we'll move on to the next one. Well, I go for lots of walks, and I just process stuff in my head. If I'm editing a video and I'm getting a bit lost or a bit confused with what I'm doing,
go painting. Just kidding.
no more paint. No. Scarred for life with the paint. But yeah, I just kind of process stuff, and you know what? And sometimes I'm just not in the mood for it, and you just think, well, you shouldn't force creativity. You shouldn't sit there and go, I've got to write a song today. I've got to finish these lyrics today. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just be okay with it. Be content. Sometimes doing nothing is actually more beneficial to you in terms of giving you that rest period or that separation from what you're doing, and then when you come back to it, you've got that fresh perspective. So that's the way I deal with it. I don't really see it as something that's as a negative impact on my mental health, because it really, it is just a lot of fun, and we're just having to be creative, and to just to have done it for so many years is a privilege. And so I'd be wrong to ever complain about that, because if I didn't have it in my life, I'd be miserable. So I'm just doing it and enjoying it, and I just make it work, make it manageable. I don't overstress myself. I'm a parent, I'm a husband, I've got a part-time job working in the arts. I have to spread myself thin, and give all of these things my equal attention, because they're all equally important to me. And yeah, it's just good fun. So yeah, it's never a chore. It's just looking forward and planning things and being creative is just kind of just part of who I am, and that's what makes me happy. That's what feeds my soul. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm in a good place mentally. It's when I'm not doing that, that's when I get twitchy.
But can you do me a favor, that when you film your next video in the Smash room, here we call it the panic room, I think.
Okay.
Or Smash, I can't remember. Because they allow you to go and take a sledgehammer to a car and stuff like that. Because I know I worked with someone who did that. Her and her mother did that. It was just amazing, I heard. But can you do me a favor? Can you include, I always ask this question, what do you think of musicians that smash the guitar? Can you do a smash guitar scene in there?
The whole video, Chris, was supposed to be in a Smash room, but the place that we wanted to use, they changed their mind about us coming. So we weren't in a proper panic room type thing. We hired a gallery, an art gallery. So the whole video is just smashing instruments. There's no sledgehammers and cars. It's us smashing our instruments against our instruments. So we bought a cheap drum kit, we bought a cheap bass, we bought cheap amps. The song is less than 1 minute long. It's a really, really short song. It's just a big kind of in and out kind of big energy song. And so smashing up stuff really works well. So the video itself is just a little bit of performance for 20 seconds, and then it's just full on smashing up, kicking drum kits, throwing guitars at the wall, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun to make. The video that we're doing on Tuesday, what do I say about that? It's going to involve a lot of water. That's what I'll just say. That it's going to involve a lot of water, but that will come out later in the year. I won't say too much about that at the moment.
Well, I'm glad that all your music is available at Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, of course. I'm sort of curious. You were saying something there about when I'm talking about smashing guitars. What am I under the impression why don't they create guitars that are just specifically for smashing, and they're cheap? You can play them, but you can smash them, made out of balsa wood. The strings are made out of nylon or something. They should do that. Someone could make a business where they sell smashable guitars to members of the band or to musicians who want to do that on stage, and that's their thing. They take a guitar, they play it, and they just break it on the stage. That would be interesting. Or ones that squirt paint or something like that. Talk about paint. I didn't know that you could play a guitar or play the drums covered in paint. Am I under the impression that you couldn't, and then you just put the track on there, laid the track
Yeah,
on there later? You did that, yeah?
yeah,
How did
pretty
it
much.
sound? How did the electric guitar sound with the paint on it, or was it unplayable?
Pretty much unplayable, I think. I mean, we did, like, before the video, we did a bit of pre-painting. So what we were conscious of was if we just went into the room and then we threw paint, everything would just be wet, and all of those colors will merge and everything started to look brown, like a brownie color. So it looked less like a vibrant color. It looked like it looked like something very different. So what we did is we bought all our clothes and the instruments and everything, and we got together in my mate's garage, and we just kind of threw paint at everything and we let it dry, so it had all of those streaks on it already. But the instruments were unplayable. I mean, we threw so much paint on them. We were just pouring paint in the inputs and everything. It was just, they were just paint everywhere. So the drum kit sounded okay. It sounded passable. But the bass and the guitar were trashed. Yeah, they were completely trashed. So we were just miming, really, and then obviously just put the track after. So yeah, the guitars didn't work at all. They were just completely ruined. And yeah, and smashable guitars. That's a great idea. Because
And if you
guitars
come
don't.
up with a business, please give me some residuals because it's my idea.
Yeah, heard it here first. But yeah, we found that when we did the smashing up video that yeah, the guitars were quite difficult to break. Actually, we had to really smash them quite a few times to get a bit of breakage. But I think I heard someone say that musicians tend to, if they're going to smash a guitar on stage, they sometimes saw the neck a little bit so that it's got a little bit. So if they hit it, it breaks straight away. So there's a little bit of modification that goes on with some of these rock and roll bands. It's not as spontaneous and as cool as you think. I think there's a little bit of pre-planning that goes on backstage. I don't know, but yeah, we love smashing up stuff at the moment. We've got a real thing about it. So the third video is we're going to ruin a lot of equipment in the third video, and we've just been discussing our fourth video when we're going to
Very
ruin a lot of
pricey.
equipment. We're gonna ruin stuff again for the fourth. So
Wow.
yeah, lots of carnage.
Wow. If you do come up with that idea, smashable guitars, just remember me. But acoustic guitars and violins are easy to smash because they're made of really thin wood as well. But I've seen some pretty decent instruments made out of crystal glass. I saw a electric guitar made of Lego. I mean, and there's a guy that makes guitars using cigar boxes. I saw that on TikTok. That was interesting.
Oh.
But everyone, this Gavin Medza, who's from the DINKY music band, Ryan's gig guide said that I honestly cannot fault a single note on this small circle of indie rock joy. And Born Music Online said I would strongly encourage you all to carry a little bit of DINKY magic around with you. I'm like, okay. So that's amazing, everyone. Yeah, take a look at their YouTube channel and that song. It's not about you, which I tag at the end of this video. And also thinking the Ghost album teaser, which I basically don't want people to get away. But if you go to the YouTube channel, it's actually right there listed, and it's only a minute long, and you can see that. So, Gavin, before we end the stream, can you give us a little bit of an advice to up and coming dinkers? I guess you want to call them up and coming musicians and those who want to do what you do.
My advice is just a summary of probably lots of things that we've chatted about in the podcast. Is if you're a young band and you're starting out, just get in a band with people that you get along with. Your mates, whoever, just someone that's a like-minded individual. throw out any trace of ego that you have, because there's really no place for it. It just only adds to issues. So yeah, get yourself and have fun. Have as much fun as you can. Do whatever it is that you want to do that makes you happy. And if it's something that's you think it's weird, or you think it's normal but everyone else thinks it's weird, it's absolutely fine. Just do it. It doesn't matter. You know, we're getting on a bit now. We're an older band, but we're having so much fun. We're doing all of these, like I said, childhood things with paint, and just smashing up stuff, and we're just having a great laugh, and we don't care if people don't like it and they don't watch it. We're just having a good time, and these are memories that we'll have for the rest of our lives, and it's something really lovely to look back on. So if you want to be in a band, or if you're in a band, just have fun. Just have fun. And if you're not having fun with it, be honest about it. Just don't go through the motions. Tell the other band members that you're not having a good time, and find something that is more right for you. But yeah, collaborate, make music, make memories, have a good time. The end.
You heard it from Gavin himself, and I would take that bit of advice myself. If I want to actually looking for a band and maybe a duet partner or something like that, but I'm sure that'll come. But I really love this interview. Thank you, Gavin, so much
Thanks,
for joining us and giving us the opportunity to interview you. And everything, as I mentioned, will be linked down below. We're going to end the stream, everybody, but Gavin, just wait right there, okay? Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you, Gav.
Thank you.
Go for it when you're ready.
Yeah. And go.
I feel abused. I feel so
Go
bad.
on, together.
Oh,
do you need glasses on?
No. I can't see it. I can't see it.